Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome once again to the Bhagavad Gita study circle. This is session number 28 and we have already completed 2 chapters of Bhagavad Gita and we have begun the 3rd chapter in the last session, last week, and that is Karma Yoga. So today we will be discussing from where we had left in the last week. And I dedicate this session to my beloved spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the ISKCON movement. And like we discussed, that this whole chapter 3, Karma Yoga, is actually divided into different sections. There are about 5 sections, and the very first section, that is the first 2 shlokas, 3.1 and 3.2, Arjuna is asking a question, and that is all about renunciation or what? Because we understood that how, after listening to different aspects of spirituality in chapter 2 from Krishna, Arjuna was confused. He wanted more clarity because Krishna spoke about the soul, Krishna spoke about Sankhya, Krishna spoke about Jnana Yoga, Krishna spoke about Karma Kanda, then Krishna also spoke about Karma Yoga, and then he also touched upon a little bit about Bhakti. So, listening to all this, Arjuna is confused and he wants little more clarity, and that is why he is asking this question, the very immediate question. Once Krishna completed the last verse of chapter 2, so Arjuna is asking that जायसे चेत कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिर जनार्दन तत् किम कर्मणे घोरे मां नियोजयसि केशवा. Oh Krishna, if you really want me to understand the higher philosophical aspects of life, then why are you actually encouraging me to fight? This Ghorema, this is the most terrific battle that's going to happen. Why are you wanting me to engage in this ghastly warfare when jnana is superior to work? And then he is also telling Krishna that Tad Ekam Vada Nishchitya. Nishchitya, you tell me clearly. Nishchitam, like in the chapter 2 also Arjuna had mentioned, Nishchitam Bruhitam me. You tell me Nishchitam, what is best? He is telling, Yena Shreyoham Apnuyam. He is telling what is Shreya for me, what is good for me. You please tell that to me so that I am very clear what to do and what not to do. But right now, you have told me two things. One is karma and one is jnana. So I am really confused what to do. Please clarify. So, this is what Arjuna has asked in the first two shlokas of chapter 3. And let's see what Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is now going to speak and will answer to Arjuna and clarify his doubt. Let's understand this. And this particular section, especially 3.3 to 3.9, these 6-7 shlokas is going to be mostly focusing on Nishkama Karma Yoga. So let's understand this. Okay? So, verse number 3.3, and I request, let's give a chance to the newcomer today. Amrinder, can you unmute yourself and try to repeat the shloka? You can unmute and repeat after me. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Lokesmin Vividanishta I'll repeat that again. You can try, no problem, don't worry. Lokesmin Vividanishta Pura Prokta Maya Nagaha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. Wonderful. Let's do that once again. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Lokesmin Vividanishta Pura Prokta Maya Nagaha Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. Wonderful. You just see, you got it actually. Just by chanting twice, you could get it. Let's repeat the translation also. The blessed Lord said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who realize the self. Some are inclined to understand him by empirical, philosophical speculation, and others are inclined to know him by devotional work. Thank you very much. Yeah. So this is a very important and interesting shloka that Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, and here Krishna is saying, "Oh Arjuna, I have already explained to you." So Krishna is saying here, very interestingly, that I have already explained these two things to you before, but since you are a little confused, I want to further clarify all your doubts now. And here, very clearly Krishna is saying that Jnana Yogena Sankhyana. Jnana Yoga. There is one thing, there are two activities. Vivida. Vivida means there are two types of work. Lokes means Vivida. What are these two types of work? So, Krishna is saying Jnana Yogena Sankhyana. There is one which is called Jnana Yoga and which deals with Sankhya. Sankhya means, literal meaning is counting, but when we say Sankhya, it also refers to the analytical study, the empirical study of this world, of this body, of the mind, and all these put together. There are about 25 elements, including the soul. There are about 25 elements within the body. So when you study all these different elements within the body, this is called Sankhya. With the process of Sankhya, you understand analytically all that is there within this body. Mind and intelligence and ego and everything that is. So that Jnana Yoga, which deals with Sankhya Nam, is one aspect, but there is another aspect to our existence or another activity, and that is Karma Yoga, the Yogina. But very beautifully, Prabhupada has given a translation to Karma Yogena as not simply doing some work, which generally people say that, oh, mera to ek karma hai, mujhe apna karma karna hai. But here, Prabhupada is translating Karma Yoga as not simply work as prescribed by the Shastras, but here Karma Yogana, Prabhupada says that's Bhakti Yoga. And that is much above the Jnana Yoga. So let's understand this a little bit because we need to understand this analytically a little bit. Okay? So there is one very interesting statement in the purport that Srila Prabhupada makes, and this is the most important thing that we all should know, and it's extremely important. And what is that statement Prabhupada is making? Prabhupada is saying here that religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. I repeat that again, let that sink into our mind. Religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So let's understand this little clearly. I'm sure most of you have seen this movie, Oh My God. Right? All of you must have seen this movie, Oh My God. Paresh Rawal has played the lead role. And this whole movie actually depicts so many wrong things that happen in the name of religion, right? Although there are some good aspects to this whole movie that is being displayed and many people appreciate it, but there is also a lot of things which were not clarified within the movie by our Paresh Rawal. And that we will definitely discuss in another session. I had a session exclusively on this movie itself called Oh My God. There is a session that I have made. So now the interesting part here is there is two things. One is religion and one is philosophy. Now, if you talk only about religion, there are people who talk about religion, but there is no philosophical understanding. They don't understand the import of what the religion is speaking. So such people, what do they become? They become fanatics. And we have seen a lot of such people in all the religious sects. In all the religions, there are some people who are fanatics. And that's how a lot of terrorism also comes in. Why? Because they have a certain understanding of Islam, and because they don't have the philosophical background, they become fanatics, and that's how they go on the killing spree and just shooting people all the place, everywhere. You see, this is called fanaticism, and there are fanatics in each and every religion. When they don't understand the philosophical aspect, the real meaning of what the religion is speaking, then it's a very dangerous thing. So here there is religion, but no philosophy. And without philosophy, people will be misled, and it will create a lot of problem and destruction in the society. And that is not good. And that's exactly what Paresh Rawal also in that movie, Oh My God, has displayed, that how many people blindly, they just follow because of some sentiment. So that kind of sentimentalism will not work, and ultimately it will lead into a lot of frustration. So when people blindly follow some guru or some baba who is actually having no philosophical understanding of the scriptures, and people are just following because he speaks very eloquently, he speaks very charmingly, and he behaves in a certain way, then what happens is there is lot of religious aspect to it, but there is no philosophy, and people will get cheated. So that's why such kind of sentimentalism will really not help us to become truly happy. We all want to be happy, but you cannot become happy by becoming emotionally connected to someone or sentimentally connected without philosophical background. So this is religion without philosophy. And there is another extreme also. Just like this is one extreme where there is religion and no philosophy, there is another extreme where there is only philosophy and without religion, absolutely no religion. And such people become mental speculators. Mental speculation, they start thinking, oh yes, I think there is God. Why there is God? Yes, because such a big universe is running, so nice things are happening in this universe. The earth is moving and the planets are moving. I think everything is in control, and that control is because there is God. So today they speak like this, and next day they see in the TV that there is an earthquake, and there is there is a cyclone and killed many people, there is tsunami and a lot of people died. Then they start thinking, oh, if God exists, then why didn't he protect these people? So many people died because of tsunami, so many people died because of earthquake. There is no God. And then they see that there is a bottle of wine, they take the wine and they start drinking, they say, oh, this is at least reality. Oh, let it be, whatever, God is there, not there, what should I do? At least the wine is reality, let me take and drink. So such philosophical thinking is called armchair philosophy, where there is lot of philosophical speculation they do, but there is no strong religious faith, that faith to strive to understand the truth. There is absolutely no effort put in the direction, oh yes, if God is there, what should I do? What's the process? They don't want to understand that. So this is called philosophy, but no religion. But in reality, we need both. We need philosophy also, we need religion also. If you take only one of them, then you are acting in extremes, and it will not really help. For example, you take our scientific experiments that we do. See, when we want to understand anything in this world, especially in the scientific field, we see there is a theory and there is an experiment. So when you have a proper theory, based on that theory, you do a lot of experimentation, and then based on the experimentation, you get certain results, right? So in science, there is theory and there is experiment. And then there is an outcome. And then we start developing that outcome, right? Just like, for example, Newton. You see Newton, there was a first observation that apple fell on him, and then, oh, he started thinking that why did the apple fall down? Why didn't it just fly in the air? If one of us had experienced the same thing, probably we would have just taken the apple and eaten it. But Newton didn't think like that, thanks to him. He started thinking about why the apple fell, and then he gradually postulated the whole gravitational law, and that's how we have it today. So the idea is there is theory, there is an experimentation, there is an observation, and all put together there is a certain standard that is set, there is some universal law that is created, and then it's applicable to every one of us. Right? So that is how science works. Similarly, spirituality is a higher dimensional science. Many people think that spirituality means just going to the temple or maybe doing some social bhakti a little bit, agarbatti and diya laga do, jaake nariyal phod do. All that is there, that is definitely there. But at the same time, it's a higher dimensional science. When we say science, that means you can actually understand, you can experiment, and then you can also have an outcome of that. So that's so wonderful, isn't it? And it's not just applicable to me, anyone who follows, he can also experience the same thing. For example, the gravitational law is not just applicable to India, but you go to any part of the world, the same gravitational law works because there is universality. So similarly, spirituality is also universal, but also it is a higher dimensional science. So, when you want to understand this higher dimensional science called spirituality, then there are two things here. There is philosophy, there is religion. Philosophy is like the theory part of it, and then religion is the experimentation part of it. Actually applying the theory. And that is when we start getting realization. When you have both philosophy and religion, then there is realization, then there is transformation in the heart. That is how transformation takes place. If your heart is considered to be a laboratory, just imagine, if your heart is a laboratory, then chanting the holy names, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is actually the procedure that you are going to apply in the laboratory. So when you follow the procedure, then your heart will become cleansed and then there will be a realization. Spiritual realization. You start getting to know the higher aspects of life. Right? So that is why Krishna is very clearly stating here, and Prabhupada is saying, religion without philosophy is one extreme, and only philosophy without religion is another extreme. So, if you want to have a complete, beautiful experience of spirituality, then we need to have both of them. Material science is experimental. You take any material scientist, material science is experimental, whereas spiritual science is experiential. Both are different. Right? So you want to get an experience of spiritual life, then we need to follow the procedures as set by the religious text, as given in the Bhagavad Gita. And that's why we are discussing this Bhagavad Gita, just not to sentimentally understand, but also understand with proper understanding how to apply this knowledge. Nothing in Bhagavad Gita is impractical. Everything is practical. Like from morning till evening, you take any activity, how to do those activities are explained in the Bhagavad Gita. That's the whole thing. When you know how to do certain things, all your activities, all throughout the day, what a wonderful thing it is. You know how to act properly. By acting properly, we are going to get good results. So Bhagavad Gita is helping us here, right? In fact, if you see in ISKCON, we have both philosophy and religious thing. Early morning, every single day at 4 a.m. when we wake up, 4:30 there is an Aarti. So from 4:30, after the Aarti, up till about say 7:30, there is chanting of 2 hours, mantra meditation, and then there is another Aarti. And then after all the morning religious thing is done, then we have the Srimad Bhagavatam class every single day. So then there is a philosophical aspect. So there is a religious aspect, then there is a philosophical aspect. And both are needed to develop spirituality within us. Extremely important. To love Krishna is possible only when we have both these two things. So there are a lot of things which were raised in the movie Oh My God, and we will have an exclusive discussion on that because there are many contradictory statements that the Paresh Rawal does in that particular movie, and although it has depicted certain negative aspects of religion, in the movie, but at the same time, it has not shown the positive aspects of spirituality. And that is how there is a disconnect. So people have misunderstood certain things after watching that movie as well. Okay, so that is what Krishna has explained in this particular sloka. So let's go and try to understand the next sloka, that is 3.4. So Lasya has joined us after a long time. Let's give a chance to Lasya today. Lasya, you can unmute yourself. So 3.4. न कर्मणामनारम्भान् नैष्कर्म्यं पुरुषोऽश्नुते न च सन्न्यस्तनादेव सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति. Once again, न कर्मणामनारम्भान् नैष्कर्म्यं पुरुषोऽश्नुते न च सन्न्यस्तनादेव सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति. Wonderful. So, repeat the translation. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Thank you. So, very interesting shloka again. So, Krishna is saying here, not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction. This is Arjuna's mentality right now. So, Krishna wants to clarify this to Arjuna. Arjuna is thinking, it's better that I give up this fight and go to the jungle, abstain from all this fighting, and by not fighting, I'm not going to get any reaction. Because if I fight, if I do any karma, then there will be a reaction. But instead, I will better avoid all the kind of work and then simply go to the jungle, and by not working, by not doing my karma, then there is no reaction. So wonderful, isn't it? So this is Arjuna's idea. He is thinking that let me just give up all the work so that there is no reaction. So many people think this is very good philosophy. That, oh, by acting there is reaction. कर्म करने से ये होता है कि उसको हमको भुगतना होता है कि whether it is bad reaction or good reaction, we have to enjoy or suffer accordingly. But if I don't work at all, then it is such a nice thing because I am not going to get any karmic reactions to that. And there are many people who take on to this particular philosophy of abstaining from work. No work, they simply want to be quiet and do some sort of meditation, and they will not work. But Krishna is saying that is not going to work. And then the second aspect of it is, not by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Looks like contradictory, right? Why is Krishna trying to contradict here? He's saying that, okay, you should not abstain from work. At the same time, Krishna is saying that you should not renounce everything. So what are we supposed to do then? Right? So this translation actually emphasizing on internal and not externals. If you understand this translation, it is emphasizing more on the internals and not the externals. What do we mean by this? Many people, they adopt to lot of external things. What do I mean adoption of external things? They wear this dhoti kurta, they wear sari, they wear this tilak, they wear kanti mala, and they may wear big malas in their neck, they may leave a lot of big beard, and they look like sages. So, just by adopting these externals, it is not that you have become renounced. There are many people, even in fact, when in 1965, when Prabhupada went to the West, he saw there were so many hippies. Looking at the hippies, you feel as if they renounced everything. All big beards and big hair, mat-like hair, and then all these kind of torn clothes. We feel as if they are all renounced. No, that kind of renunciation will not work. Simply renouncing so-called renunciation and adopting certain external things, but deep within your mind, thinking of sense gratification, thinking of how can I eat gulab jamun, how can I go and watch that movie, how can I go to the pub and enjoy some drink. If you are renounced externally, but your mind is constantly focusing and contemplating on these different sense objects, then you are not renounced. So there may be a sadhu, so-called sadhu, who is in a sadhu dress, and he may be constantly thinking of money, women and wine. So such thing is really not going to help. But at the same time, there may be a person who is sincerely just doing simple things and still he is constantly thinking of the Lord. Constantly thinking of the Lord. And he may be really wonderful. There is a very beautiful example here. There was a man, a Brahmana, every day, early morning, he used to constantly do a lot of puja and everything. And just very close to his place, right opposite, he was having a prostitute staying. And this Brahmana used to think that what an abominable life she is leading. Every day she is leading, having a relationship with so many different men. Constantly he used to think like that, this Brahmana. On the other hand, the contrary, the prostitute, she used to think, I am leading such an abominable life. See that Brahmana, he is doing so nice puja to Krishna every day. He is doing so much of seva to Krishna and I am not doing anything. This Brahmana was constantly thinking that, oh, she is associating with so many men, maybe I should also associate once. Although he is doing a lot of puja and all these ritualistic things, but he is thinking of enjoying with that prostitute, and the prostitute on the other hand, although externally she is engaged in abominable things, but her mind is thinking, oh, he is such a nice person. You see the difference here, and this is exactly what Krishna is trying to hit upon this word. He is saying that externals do not matter. What really matters is what is in your heart. That is what really matters to Krishna. Krishna is bhavagrahi janardana. He sees what is your bhava, what is your consciousness. It really doesn't matter what are you doing externally. In fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is another example of Pingala. Pingala was a prostitute, but she is the greatest devotee. Externally, if you think she is an abominable, doing all unwanted things. But there are prayers of Pingala which are mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Pingala Uvacha, very beautiful song. Beautiful prayer. She is offering to Krishna. You see? So it really doesn't matter what are we engaged in externals. Really what matters is what is going on within our consciousness. So this shloka, if you understand, it's not simply by abstaining from work that you are going to become free from reaction, nor simply you renounce everything that you will be attaining perfection. We are not going to get perfection just by renouncing everything. That's not possible. Right? So this is a very important instruction that Krishna is giving here. In fact, there are some people who say that there is a certain section of the society where people in the name of spirituality, they take sannyasa. That's what Krishna is also saying in this word. Najas sannyasana deva. Many people they think, oh, I should take sannyasa. They become tridandi sannyasa. Tridandi sannyasa means they take 3 sticks, they hold 3 sticks in their hand and they keep moving. And their philosophy is danda grahana matrena naro narayana bhave. So danda grahena matrena, just by taking one stick in their hand, they think that this nara has become Narayana. This human being has become God. There are people like that who claim themselves to be God just by taking one sannyasa stick in their hand. So we should know that Nara will never become Narayana. A human being cannot become God at any point of time. But there are people like that. You see? So this is 3.4. Let's go to the next verse now. And by the way, if you have any questions, you can please feel free to type them in the chat section. And at the end, we will also spend some time taking some questions and you can directly ask the questions as well. Okay, so now let's go to the next verse, that is 3.5. And there you can unmute yourself and let's chant this third verse, 3.5. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hi avashah karma sarva prakriti jay gunai. Once again, nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate hi avashah karma sarva prakriti jay gunai. Wonderful. Repeat the translation. All men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something. Not even for a moment. Wonderful. Thank you. So this is another very interesting thing here. See, there is a connection between the previous verse and this verse. In the previous verse, Krishna said that simply by abstaining from work, you cannot become free from reaction. And here Krishna is saying that all men are forced to act helplessly according to the impulses born of the modes of material nature. Very interesting shloka. If anybody is thinking that, let me give up everything, I will not work, it is a misunderstanding. Why? It's a misunderstanding. Prabhupada is explaining in the very first line of the purport, Prabhupada is saying, it is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Very important. It is the nature of the soul to be active. Now, in the second chapter, we have already understood that we are spirit souls. Now, interestingly, one of the very core nature of the spirit soul is it has to be active. It is always active. The soul is never dull for a moment. It's constantly active. That is the beauty of the soul. But whereas on the contrary, you see this body is always there. Let us understand this. This body that we have is always dead. It is not alive. It is alive because there is presence of the soul inside the body. The moment the soul lives, which is active, this body will become dead. Right now this body is able to move and function. It is because the active soul within us. Just see, it's very, very important to know this. The body is always dead. The body is never alive without the soul. What makes this body move, what animates this body is the presence of the soul. Now, the nature of the soul is to always perform some activity, always perform some karma. So if you are trying to artificially sit down quietly and abstain from work, it is going against the nature of the self. You see, if you are not doing anything, trying to avoid work, that means you are going against the nature, your very nature. And that is what frustrates you even more. But, unfortunately, what happens is, right now, this soul, because it is embodied within this body, the body gets energy from the soul, but the energy is directed as per the impulses of the three modes, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. This body is actually getting energy from the soul, but unfortunately the direction for this energy is coming from the material energy, these three gunas. So that is the problem. Although you as a soul are supposed to direct your energy, you have no control over that energy of yours. That's why Krishna is saying here, helplessly you will act according to the impulses of this Sattva Guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. You see? Why? Because we have accepted this body. As long as you have this material body, you will not be able to act as per your nature. That's why sometimes we become lazy. Why lazy? Because the body is lazy, not the soul. Soul is always active. Do you think when you sleep in the night that the soul is sleeping? No, the soul is not sleeping. Only the body sleeps. The soul never sleeps. Even in the night, in deep sleep, the soul never sleeps. It's always active. There is nothing such thing called as sleep for the soul. But we are sleeping from the real nature. The soul is sleeping from the real consciousness, the real aspect of its nature that we have slept. The soul is sleeping. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very beautifully sings, Jeeva jago, Gora chand bole, Khota nidra jao maya, Picha chir kole. Jeev jago, Gora chand bole. So very beautifully it is said that Jeev jago, Gora chand bole. Gora chand is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, come on, oh my sleeping soul, wake up now. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is singing that, Khota nidra jao maya. Khota nidra, that illusion, give up this illusion, this false sleep. This Maya is like Pichaji. Pichaji means it's a witch. Get rid of this witch and wake up. How do you wake up? By chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So if you want to become transcendental, like I always say, transcendental means to become free from this effect of three modes, Sattva Guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. We will understand more about these three gunas in the 13th chapter, 15th chapter I think. So where we will deal completely with these three modes of material nature. It's very, very important. Right? So this is what Krishna has explained here very beautifully, that each one of us, we all have to work, and that's because our nature as soul is to work. And this soul right now is burdened with this body. Just imagine, there is a runner and he has a big sack on his back. He really cannot run very fast when he has a big sack. But you just take off that sack from his back, then he can run very fast, right? He becomes even more active. So similarly, the soul right now is carrying this big sack called the body. It's a big heavy burden on the soul. And moment the soul gives up this body, it becomes even more active. The soul becomes very active and starts working very nicely. Right? Just give me a moment. Okay, so very beautifully in this word, Krishna has explained that how we have to work and we cannot really become free from work because our nature is to be constantly active. Very important. So let's go to the next verse now. And I want Achyutanji to come online and let's chant the next verse, Achyutanji. Very interesting shloka here in this particular section. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyathan vimudatma mityachara sauchyate. Once again, karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasa smaran indriyathan vimudatma mityachara sauchyate. Wonderful translation. One who restrains the senses and organs of action, but whose mind dwells on the sense objects, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So, Krishna in this verse is giving the definition of who is a hypocrite. You know, we come across a lot of people who are hypocrites. Who is a hypocrite? A person who says something, who does something, and who thinks something. So, such a person is called a hypocrite. His words, his actions, and everything else are not in line. They are all different and they are all misdirected. So, such a person is called a hypocrite. Another very interesting definition of hypocrisy is a person who accepts the prestige and privilege that comes from a position without taking the required responsibility and sacrifice. Let me repeat that again. What is hypocrisy, or who is a hypocrite? Hypocrisy means to accept the prestige and privilege that comes from a certain position without taking the required responsibility and sacrifice. So they just want to enjoy but don't want to take the sacrifice. They want to be glorified without doing anything. So such person is called a hypocrite here. Any role that we play in our life, it all comes when we take a certain responsibility, and when we take responsibility, we need to sacrifice. Each one of us, whether it is a professional, whether it is a husband or a wife, children, a student, any one of you, in any position that you are playing, any role that you are playing, it actually has its own set of responsibilities, it has its own set of sacrifices that we need to do, right? All of us, we need to do certain things. But when we don't do, then we are called a hypocrite. We are not playing that role to its perfection. When we don't take responsibility, when we don't sacrifice, that means we are not actually acting as per that role. We are imperfectly playing that role in our life. And Krishna is such a wonderful being, such a wonderful person, the Supreme Lord. When Krishna plays any role, when he plays the role of a god, he plays it perfect. When he plays the role of a husband, he plays it perfect. When he plays a role of an enemy, he plays it perfect. When he plays the role of a friend, he plays it perfect. When he plays the role of a lover, he plays it perfect. Krishna is all perfect. But on the contrary, no matter what role we play, there will always be certain imperfections. Whether we are husband, wife, children, professional, student, always there is some imperfection within us. So that's the difference between Krishna and us. You see? And that's why Mityachara. So Krishna is using this word Mityachara sa uchyate. Achara means behavior. Mithya means false. Mityachara means false behavior. So now a question may come into all of you, Prabhuji, now see, we are all actually trying to become Krishna conscious. But at the same time, there are a lot of bad thoughts which are running in our mind. Does it mean that we are hypocrites? We are Mityacharis? Because on one end, we are trying to become Krishna conscious, but at the same time, we have all the past bad things coming into us, right? We have this gallery within our mind. It's not a digital gallery, but we have a mental gallery within us which has all the memories of the past, both good and bad, right? There are so many memories stored within our own self, and sometimes when you start going through the list of all the memories in your gallery, you may come across some bad memories, some unwanted memories. That's okay. I mean, when you just come across these bad memories, you think about these bad memories or bad thoughts, that is fine. Krishna is saying that is fine. You will not be called as Mityachari just because you're getting bad thoughts. But the catch is, if you intentionally cultivate certain bad thoughts which are coming, certain bad memories of yours, of the past, then that is dangerous. Then we will become Nityacharis. What do I mean intentionally cultivating? It means that, yes, in the past I did that particular wrong act, but it was so enjoyable. I enjoyed so much. Wish I could do that again. My circumstances are not allowing me to do right now. The same old thing, wish I could do again. Although it is wrong, but still you are cultivating that thought. Then Krishna is saying such a person will be called as Mityachari. Now, you see, this is very shukshma, very subtle. Who is a Mityachari and who is not a Mityachari? In fact, there are different stages in this whole understanding of who is a hypocrite and who is not a hypocrite. We can understand that there will be at least 4 stages. What are these 4 stages? Let's understand, very simple. One is that there are certain things where there is an external change within us. See, we are all practicing Krishna consciousness. We are all trying to become devotees. We are all practicing devotees. We all want to become closer to God. That's why we are coming again and again listening to Bhagavad Gita. Now, when you start listening to Bhagavad Gita, what's happening is, there are certain externals that will change. Like your eating habits will change, maybe your dressing style may change, or it may so happen that your unnecessary external expenditure uh, may reduce because you're listening to all these things. So then what happens is there is an external change, but along with the external change, if there is internal change as well, that is the best thing. So you are externally changing and plus there is internal transformation happening. That means there is unity between your external and internal. That is very good. There is homogeneity between external and internal. That is good. But there are people who externally change. They do a lot of external change like dress and the way they speak. All those things can change. But at the same time, there is a struggle within. You want to change internally as well, but there is a lot of internal struggle going on. There are certain bad things coming and attacking you. You want to somehow stop them, but there is a fight. There is a fight between do or not to do. Externally you are changed, but internally that fight is going on. So that is second stage. And the third stage is externally you have completely changed, but there is no internal change. Many people, many times in ISKCON temples also there are people who come, they wear dhoti kurta, they wear tilak. Externally they look like devotees, like Vaishnavas. There will be a lot of such people. But internally there is no change. When you go and look at their home, at home they will be having onion and garlic and they will be watching whatever they want. So they are completely distracted. But externally when they come to the temple, they all come as if they are Vaishnavas, you see. So external change, but absolutely no internal change. And the fourth category is, there is external change, but there is a continuation of all the bad things that they were supposed to do, they were doing earlier. There is continuity of all the bad things. So then such a person is a cheater. So he is showing off to people that he is very good, but in reality he is cheating himself and he is cheating others. So we have to be very careful about these cheaters. There are saints, there are swindlers. So we have to be very careful about these swindlers. And how can we not become Mityacharis? Very simple. Don't kindle all the bad memories of yours. Don't refresh your bad memories. Don't contemplate on your bad memories. When you refresh your bad memories, then you are kindling all those things and may again come back into your life. So don't focus on all those things. Keep yourself very busy. One of the major things that is being told to us when we join an ashram in ISKCON is, we are never given a free moment. The moment we join as bhaktas, when we join as the interns, you can say, when we join as bhaktas, from morning, from the time we wake up till the time we sleep, there is no dull moment at all. You are constantly busy doing something. Why do they do that? Is because they don't give any free time for the mind to think. It's very dangerous. Keep you busy, always busy. So all the bhaktas are extremely busy. They are physically involved and mentally involved, always busy. Why? Because we don't have to give the mind any free moment. Because the moment the mind gets any free time, it naturally tends to think negative things. Naturally it goes towards negative things. Right? It's not very natural for an electron to move from a lower orbit to higher orbit. It's not very natural. But an electron in an atom will automatically fall from a higher orbit to the lower orbit. Similarly, in our life, automatically we don't really rise up in our consciousness. But for the consciousness to fall down, it becomes very automatic. So that's why to keep always that consciousness in a very high state, in a spiritual state, we need to keep busy. We need to keep our mind and body very busy. So no inactivity here. So Arjuna, although he is thinking, he will become inactive, but Krishna is saying, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work out for you. You see? So it is better that karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasasmanan. So it is better that somebody can engage his senses nicely in Krishna consciousness rather than trying to be a mithyachari. So let's not become mithyachari. Let's speak what we follow. Achar and prachar should happen simultaneously. So let's practice before we preach something to others. That's very important. Okay? So this is a very good instruction for all of us. So going forward, let's not pretend to be something because Krishna doesn't like pretenders. And anyway, we can become a pretender and we can pretend in front of people. But do you really think that it's possible to become pretend in front of Krishna? No, because Krishna is in our heart. We cannot hide anything from him. We cannot hide anything from Krishna. He knows every good and bad things within us. So there is no question of trying to hide something or pretend something in front of Krishna. We can pretend only in front of humans, not in front of Krishna. So let's not try to become a pretender. Very important here. Okay, and by the way, Krishna is also saying here that sannyasa, the renunciation, especially in our ISKCON movement also, there are a lot of sannyasis. Is it that Krishna is telling we should not take sannyasa? No, sannyasa, just like brahmachari, grihastha, ashram is there, vanaprastha ashram is there, sannyasa is also an ashram. Sannyasa should be taken, but we take sannyasa as a tool to execute our devotional service. Sannyasa is just a tool for us. This ashrama of sannyasa is just a tool for us to execute our devotional service. But this word sannyasa is very used casually these days. Whenever there is some problem in family or whenever there is a personal problem that a person is going through, I just want to take sannyasa. मुझे संन्यास ले लेना है. Many people say like that. प्रभु जी इतना प्रॉब्लम है लाइफ में मुझे संन्यास लेना है. Many people talk like that. And such are the people who never take sannyasa. They only talk. Next day they will be doing the same old things. So, such kind of people, we should know that they are trying to pretend. Right? So, this is what Krishna is saying. Let's not become a mithyachari. Okay, so let me see. Okay, we can take maybe another sloka and then maybe I can open up for Q&A. So, 3.7. Hina Mataji, you can unmute yourself and let's chant this next words. 3.7. Yasvindriyani manasa niyamya ravate Arjuna karmendriyai karmayogam asaktah sa vishishyate. Once again, yasvindriyani manasa niyamyadbhate Arjuna karmendriyai karmayogam asaktah sa vishishyate. Translation. On the other hand, he who controls the senses by the mind and engages his active organs in works of devotion without attachment is by far superior. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So, a very clear statement here, Krishna is saying that how instead of renouncing and contemplating on sense objects, it is better that a person with very minimalistic things control his senses by engaging his mind in devotional work and without attachment. And by doing so, such a person will be far superior than a person who is so-called renounced. So this is a very important instruction. So Krishna is saying here, karmendriya. So there are two types of indriya generally which scriptures mention. There is jnanendriya and there is karmendriya. So jnanendriya means the five senses which we commonly know. Eyes, ears, nose, touch and tongue. So these are five jnanendriyas. Jnanendriyas means knowledge acquiring senses. What do I mean? Knowledge acquiring senses? Yeah, you see, these are the five senses, our eyes, ears, nose, touch and tongue. Through these five senses, we acquire knowledge. We see something, we know it is something. We hear about something and we gain knowledge. Then we taste something, then we gain knowledge. The knowledge of the taste, the knowledge of the smell. So, we acquire knowledge through these five senses. That's why they are called jnanendriyas. But here Krishna is saying that there is karmendriyas also. What are the karmendriyas? These are the senses of work. For example, hands, your legs, your genitals, anus, and then speech, the vocal cords. So these five are called karmendriyas. Through these five, we perform work through karmendriyas. So this is how we should know there is karmendriyas and there is jnanendriyas. Now you may ask, Prabhuji, how do we actually perform bhakti or we perform or execute our Krishna consciousness, or how do we perform this karma yoga without adequate attachment, without detachment, sorry. Because right now we don't have complete detachment. But Krishna is saying that we need to perform karma yoga. But we are still attached to our family, we are attached to our results of the actions that we perform. We are attached to so many things. We are not completely detached. And if there is no adequate detachment in us, is it possible to perform karma yoga? This question may come. Because karma yoga means we need to sacrifice the results of our actions. So how do we do? How do we go ahead with this? So that is why jnana is important. When we have knowledge, detachment comes. The one very important aspect, if you want to cultivate detachment, vairagya, if you want to develop vairagya, the prime element required is jnana, knowledge. So what's happening now, when every week you're coming and attending Bhagavad Gita, there are two things that are happening. Carefully if you analyze, in the last 6 months, there are two things that have happened if you are consciously doing and practicing Krishna consciousness. What are these two things? One is, you're gradually developing an attachment towards Krishna. You're gradually developing an attachment to hear about Krishna in the form of Bhagavad Gita. So, there is one sort of attachment. But while this attachment is developing, simultaneously, there is detachment from materialistic enjoyment. So, what's happening with you right now is, although the process is very gradual, but you will see over a period of time when you continue consistently following the scriptural regulations, the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita in your life, what is going to happen is your attachment to Krishna will increase, and gradually the detachment towards materialistic things will also increase. So two things will happen parallelly, but it's a gradual process. It's not that Prabhuji, I am chanting now, I am listening to Bhagavad Gita, it's already been 6 months, but I see there is no difference, no change. Yes, it may not be a very big difference that you can see, but gradually things will change. I mean, it took so many years for me also to get certain realizations. So definitely, the more intensely you practice, the more realizations that we are going to get in life. So very beautifully Krishna is saying here that it's better that you do your karma in a simple, with controlled mind, with devotion, and you will be perfect. You will achieve perfection gradually. And a very interesting statement Prabhupada also makes in the purport is, in the last sentence, Prabhupada is saying, a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than a charlatan meditator who meditates only for the sake of making a living. So Prabhupada is saying a sweeper in the street who is constantly thinking of the Lord and cleaning the temple or the area around the temple is much better than a so-called yogi wearing all the saffron robes and everything, but he is a charlatan meditator. Charlatan means a cheater. He's showing off as if he's meditating, but he is actually thinking of sense gratification. You see? And why do such people meditate? Charlatan meditator, he meditates because he wants to earn his living. There are a lot of lazy people, they just simply wear some sadhu vesha and they will sit here, and people, they see, oh, he's doing some big tapasya, they come and give him some money and they give him so many other donations, and then through that he will lead his life. So it's not good. So it's better that we do our activity with devotion rather than renouncing our activities. So these are few things very beautifully Krishna is explaining in all these different verses. And let me check the time. Okay. So it's already 12:19. So the last 10 minutes, it's better that I take some Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. Let me see if there are any Q&As in the chat section. Okay, so let me not take the next shloka. Although there are two more shlokas to complete this section that we will continue in the next words, the next session. So if you have any thing to ask, please feel free to ask. I think it's better that we have some interaction every Sunday. So it's not just me speaking, but yes, Dave. Okay, so generally you can take all the vegetables except beans and peas, green peas. So you can take vegetables, but you can avoid green peas and beans. And then we are definitely supposed to abstain from all the food grains. No food grains, no millets, and no sprouts. So on the day of Ekadashi, we have to avoid all these things. What we can take is, we can take fruits, we can take fruit juices, we can take dry fruits, and there are certain atta, like there is Rajgira atta that you can take. Then you can take Singada atta. Singada is water chestnut. So you can take Singada atta and Rajgira atta. And you can make puris out of it, you can make halwa, you can make upma out of that, this atta. So it's very interesting recipes also. Just last Ekadashi, we had a home program in one of the congregation here, and on the day of Ekadashi, there were amazing varieties they cooked. It was a big feast with Rajgira kheer, and they had prepared. Yeah, you can take paneer on the day of Ekadashi. So paneer is allowed. It's milk product, so you can take all the milk products. So you can take variety of. So generally Rajgira puris or Singada puris. Singada puris are not so great, but Rajgira puris you can make, and you can make paneer and you can eat. That is nice. So there are so many varieties that you can take. Ekadashi. There are people who are just waiting for Ekadashi because, like in Maharashtra, they say Ekadashi Duppat Kashi. So on the day of Ekadashi, they eat double the quantity that they are supposed to eat on normal days. You see. So on Ekadashi, you can have all these different things. So it's better to eat less on Ekadashi and chant more. But it's also sometimes very difficult to be completely, not having anything all throughout the day. So then you need to eat something. So for that you can have these varieties. So actually on Ekadashi you can have a big feast. If all these things, recipes you know, Ekadashi recipes, it's amazing. You can check out Rajgira recipes, Singada recipes, and there you can ask Ina Mataji, so she will learn and she will make it for all of you. So you can have a nice feast on Ekadashi. Okay? So, and Vinod is asking, can you explain why onion and garlic should not be had? Yes. So, in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 9, Krishna is talking about Rajasic food. So, onion and garlic, they are in the mode of Rajoguna. So, when we take onion and garlic, it increases Rajoguna within us. And Rajoguna is not good for any spiritual practitioner, because Rajoguna agitates the mind. So onion garlic when we take, it agitates the mind. It never keeps our mind stable. And that's the reason, because of the Rajoguna. Although onion and garlic, they have medicinal properties. Many people take onion and garlic because there are medicinal properties. But you see, as devotees, we are not just thinking about the physical health, we are also concerned about our mental health. And Jaisa An, Vaisa Man, because anything that you eat is directly affecting your mind. For example, let me give you this flow of things, events that take place when you eat a food. For example, when you take an apple. Now, apple is a fruit and it's in the mode of goodness. It's a sattvic food, sattvic ahara. So, along with the sattvic guna, the apple has vitamins, it has certain other nutrients. So, when you take that apple and eat the apple, it goes to the stomach. So, in the stomach will absorb all the nutrients, the vitamins and the minerals and everything are absorbed within the stomach. But now, what happens to the sattva guna in that? Right? So, in our body, there is also pranavayu. So, this pranavayu, which is constantly circulating within the body, the pranavayu picks up the guna. Just like the stomach picks up the nutrients from the apple, the pranavayu picks up the sattva guna from the apple, and then the pranavayu will feed the sattva guna to our mind. You see? So the mind is getting its food through the pranavayu. So when the pranavayu supplies this sattva guna to mind, the function of the mind is to think, to generate thoughts. You see now when it is generating thoughts, because it is getting sattvic guna, the mind will create sattvic thoughts. And when you have sattvic thoughts, the sattvic thought will lead to sattvic actions. And when you perform sattvic actions, ultimately you will get sattvic reactions. And that is how our character will be built, based on our actions. So see how, that's why it is said, Jaisa An Vaisa Man. That's why in Bible also it is said, you are what you eat. You are what you eat. So similarly, when you eat the onion and garlic, there is Rajoguna. although it may be beneficial for my body, physical body, but the pranavayu picks up the Rajoguna and gives it to the mind. And then the mind will start generating all the passionate thoughts. Passionate thought means what? Rajoguna means what? Rajo means it is constantly hankering for new and new things. It's not satisfied. A person who is very Rajasic is never satisfied. He's constantly thinking about what more I can get, what more I can get. So there is no contentment. And also onion and garlic, they also have aphrodisiac properties within them. So onion and garlic also increase the lusty desires within a person. So that's why onion and garlic has to be avoided. So I hope that clarifies your question. So yes, more questions please. Would like to take some more questions. It's very important. And one thing I would like to tell about onion and garlic is there are so many beautiful replacements. The replacement for onion is cabbage. Instead of putting onion, if you can put cabbage, it will taste very similar to onion. And the replacement of garlic is hing. We generally use hing, that asafoetida. If you have asafoetida, you use that, and it makes a wonderful replacement for onion and garlic. So cabbage and asafoetida are a very good replacement for onion and garlic. And you will really not miss onion and garlic. So these are two things that you can try out, and maybe you will start feeling the taste much better going forward. So, yes, Dave. Yes. Once again, you remind me, because I checked, it was not going through the WhatsApp message because the audio file was slightly bigger than 17 MB, so it was not allowing. But I will try to upload it in the drive and share the link with all of you. So you can start listening to those, especially the Narsimha Kavacham. So you can start practicing Narsimha Kavacham, extremely important, very, very powerful. So just once you remind me today, and I will upload that. Okay, good. So, yes, any more questions today? So Vinod is asking, can you say something about tea and coffee? Exactly, the same thing happens with tea and coffee. Have you observed when you take tea, you become, generally they say they become fresh, when they drink the tea, there is kind of certain excitement. That excitement or that alertness, people say, oh, when I drink coffee, then there is kind of alertness. But gradually what happens is, just like in cigarettes and tobacco, there is this nicotine. Nicotine is what makes us addictive. It has those addictive pangs. It creates those addictive pangs within us. So similarly, this tea and coffee also has that effect of nicotine within us. I don't know, I'm not sure if nicotine is present in tea and coffee, but again, it creates. That's why many people, they become so addictive to tea and coffee that they cannot go to the toilet before drinking tea and coffee. So they cannot clear their stomach without drinking tea and coffee. That's the state. You see, it's very difficult. You become addicted to certain things. And in fact, even in South India, there are many Vaishnavas also. They drink tea and coffee because they think it's okay to have, it's fine to have tea and coffee. But Prabhupada said that because again, you are trying to artificially excite the mind. Because when you drink tea and coffee, the mind becomes alert momentarily. And that is how you are exciting the mind. And especially in certain government offices and many people, you see, they are so addicted that every half an hour they keep drinking coffee because they become so addicted to it. Just like cigarettes, just like alcohol. So this is also a kind of addiction. So, and it excites the mind. And we don't want anything that unnecessarily excites our mind. So, that is why we avoid tea and coffee as well. Gradually, I mean, you don't have to give up everything overnight. These are all gradual things. Again, when you start getting higher taste, you give up the lower taste. So it may take certain time for people. It may take one day, it may take 1 month, 1 year, but gradually you can keep thinking about it. And gradually, once you get the higher taste of chanting Hare Krishna Mantra, taking only prasadam at home, then it will change. You will give up these things very easily. I mean, when people can give up alcohol and people can give up meat eating, in the West, when people were having all this extreme indulgences, and Prabhupada made them leave all these things because that's the power of Hare Krishna Mantra. So when you practice spirituality, you don't have to leave them, they will leave you and go. All these bad things and unwanted things. Not necessarily bad things, but unwanted things. So it will take some time, but definitely it is possible. Yes, good question. These are certain practical things that you're asking today, and it's very important that you're asking. Good. Any other question before we end the session? Okay, great. So, Ekadashi, there is a discussion, there was a conversation once between Jaimini Muni and Vedvyasa. So, Jaimini Muni said, my dear Vedvyasa, you have explained to me all the glories of Ganga and I am really very pleased, but I also want to know what are the glories of Ekadashi. How did this Ekadashi come into existence? And then Vedvyasa very beautifully starts explaining that how when Lord Krishna, Mahavishnu, started creating this whole world, along with everything that he created, he also created Papa Purusha. Papa Purusha. So who is this Papa Purusha? Papa Purusha is a person, is a personality, a very horrific personality, a very dark complexion with red eyes and very terrible looking personality, whose only duty is to punish people who do not follow the Vedic injunctions. Papa Purusha was supposed to punish everyone. But now this Papa Purusha, when he was created, he was punishing everybody so heinously. I mean, he was torturing people like anything, even for the small mistakes they would commit. So then Vishnu thought that this Papa Purusha is uncontrollable. Something has to be done. And that is when Lord appointed Yamaraja to take care of the karma of people. So that is how Papa Purusha was told, now you act under the guidance of Yamaraja, because Yamaraja will now decide who has to be punished to what degree. Not everybody has to be punished to the equal degree, right? So then that is how everything was going on fine. So one day, Lord Vishnu on his Garuda Vahana, he came to Yamaloka, where Yamaraja was sitting on the throne, and moment Yamaraja saw, oh my Lord, you have come to my place, please come. He invited and very beautifully, with lot of hospitality, he made him sit on the throne and Lord was sitting on the throne. And then while Yamaraja and the Lord were having a conversation, suddenly the Lord hears lot of screeching voices and people crying and with lot of pain, all these things. Then Lord asked, hey, Yamaraja, what's happening? Where are these sounds coming from? Yamaraja says, my Lord, they are all your creations. All these sinful people, they are suffering in the hellish planets. Oh, is it so? So I want to have a look at all of them. Then Lord Vishnu and Garuda as well as Yamaraj go to the hellish planets below, and there all the sinful people are suffering like anything in the hell. Somebody is getting boiled in the hot oil, somebody is walking on the hot copper plates, somebody is being pierced in the body, somebody, I mean, it's terrible, you know. I want to explain that hellish planet sometime later, but when all these people were suffering, Lord was feeling so much of compassion. He was thinking, all these are my creations. Mamai Vamsi Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. And they are suffering so much. And after seeing Lord Vishnu, these suffering souls, they started screaming even louder. Now Lord was thinking, oh, I should do something for these people. Out of compassion, immediately Lord Vishnu from his left side, he created this personality called Ekadashi. So Ekadashi was created right there, and he told all the suffering souls that if you worship Ekadashi, you will become free from all this pain of the hellish planets and you will come to my planet Vaikuntha. And that is how people there in the hellish planets, they started following Ekadashi, and by following Ekadashi, they all started going to the spiritual world, the Vaikuntha. And you know, although there was no digital media that time, social media, but the news spreads. And the news spread like wildfire, not just in hellish planets, but it spread across the globe, across the universe. In the Bhuloka, in Vaikuntha Loka, in the Swargaloka, and all the 14 planetary systems. Everybody got to know about Ekadashi. And in people in Bhuloka, they started practicing Ekadashi and they were committing sins, but at the same time they were doing Ekadashi and they were becoming free from all the sins. Now, this Papa Purusha, wherever he is going, people are following Ekadashi. Ekadashi is everywhere and he is unable to punish anyone. In the jungle he is going, in the water he is going, in the air he is going, everywhere people are following Ekadashi. He has become jobless. No job for him. Now he was thinking, what should I do? Then he started praying to Lord Vishnu, Papa Purusha. He said, my Lord, I am also your creation. I need to do some activity. You see, this is the nature of the soul, to do activity, perform yoga, perform karma. So Papa Purusha is also saying, I want to perform karma. But now with this Ekadashi, I am unable to perform my karma. I am not able to punish anyone. What do I do? So Lord said with a smile, oh Papa Purusha, I will give you also a place to reside. And that place is on the day of Ekadashi, you will reside in the food grains. So, on the day of Ekadashi, Papa Purusha is residing in the food grain. That's why we don't take food grains on Ekadashi. If anybody takes food grain on Ekadashi, Padma Purana says, it is as good as eating the flesh of your own parents. Anybody eats grains on Ekadashi, it is as good as eating the flesh of your own parents. Padma Purana says. And then there are so many such descriptions, and there are a lot of pastimes related to Ekadashi. That's how, just by following Ekadashi, many sinful people have become elevated devotees. So Ekadashi is not an ordinary day, it's very important. And then, if this is Ekadashi, the story behind Ekadashi, on Dwadashi, there is something called as Parana time. Generally, it is after sunrise. So, anytime between 6:30 to say 8:30 or 9, you can have, there is this Parana time during which we are supposed to break the fast. So, previous day you have fasted, and some people do Nirjal Ekadashi, some people do Sajal Ekadashi. Nirjal means they don't take water. Sajal means they take only water and fast. And some people take little bit of fruit, and then Falahara Ekadashi they do. Only fruits they take. So next day, a person who has done Nirjal, he will break the fast by drinking the water. And a person who has done Sajal Ekadashi, he will take a little bit of grain next day and break the fast during the Parana time. So that is on Dwadashi. And that is how, on Dwadashi, one more thing is, we don't pluck Tulsi Maharani. Keep this in mind. Recently also I mentioned this in one of my class, that on Dwadashi, on Amavasya and on Purnima, we don't pluck Tulsi Maharani, and especially on Dwadashi, we don't pluck Tulsi leaves. It's because Tulsi is a great devotee of Krishna. And just like you have done Ekadashi, Tulsi Maharani also has done Ekadashi without drinking water. So on Dwadashi, she is little weak. So that is why we don't want to disturb Tulsi on Dwadashi. So if at all you want to use Tulsi leaf for offering on Dwadashi, there may be some fallen Tulsi, dry leaves also is okay. You can offer it to Krishna by using the dry leaves, dry Tulsi leaves. So, but no plucking Tulsi leaves on the day of Dwadashi. Okay. So this is about Ekadashi and Dwadashi.